little bit more wine for myself here. Erin, what are you drinking?
So, like Kristen, I wanted to be on theme with the names. So, Novel Pairings is a little bit of a pun. Poor Memories, great pun. Love the
Yes.
name. So, I am drinking limited edition from Bree Stock up in Oregon. And I thought, like, let's just stay with that, kind of punny name. And it's a fantastic old vine Pinot Gris with skin contact. So,
Yum.
what else can I drink at 2:30 in the afternoon on a Monday?
Yeah.
There you go.
Seriously. Yeah, I love that. Kristen, what do you have?
I just popped open an RN Estates
Ooh.
Pinot Noir from
Nice.
La Encantada Vineyard.
Ooh.
And I'm going to get this sound effect while I'm...
Ooh.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it just sounds like peeing, probably, actually.
Leg.
That was wine being poured, not me peeing during the podcast.
Exactly. Yes.
To clarify for anyone,
Just to clarify. Awesome.
for the non-visual watchers.
For the non-visual, yes. Yeah, for
Yeah.
those who are not watching on YouTube.
Yeah.
I am drinking the Topless Creek 2021 Viognier. That's been in my fridge for a minute. So, yeah, but it smells great. So
Yeah.
we're
Well,
doing
cheers.
great. Yeah, cheers, everyone.
Cheers.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. This is so great. Erin, we're so excited to have you on the podcast to talk about your new venture, Novel Pairings. I keep every time, so how you're saying about every time that I go to think Novel Pairings, my mouth wants to form Poor Memories because again, it feels very, yeah.
They're very similar. Very similar essence vibe.
Yes.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm just really excited to get to talk to both of you, actually. So, Novel Pairings, whatever, but, happy to speak with you guys.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, I love it. Well, for those just joining us, this is Poor Memories. I'm Heather, one of your co-hosts.
And I'm the other one, Kristen.
And today we are speaking with Erin Kirschenmann.
Well done.
Oh my gosh. Oh,
Yes.
thank you. You and I both have last names. I feel like take people a minute you'd be like, okay, I think I know how this is pronounced, but I'm going to say it slowly and hopefully I get it right.
Yep, absolutely. And then when they try to spell it too, it never comes out right.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Last names, man.
I just have the issue of the default is EN when I'm IN.
Yes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
by like default, no one ever spells it IN. It's just default EN, and that is my life.
Yep. So today, yeah, we're going to talk about all kinds of things, but we always like to start with what's your poor memory? Tell us about your poor memory, Erin.
Okay, so this is super cliche, and I hate that I'm about to say it, but it really is my poor memory. Like, my aha wine is a birth year wine. And it was right after I had started working for Wine Business Monthly. I was on my very first press tour driving through Oregon, and we stopped at a restaurant in Portland, and I'm sitting next to a winemaker, and he just starts rattling off all of these statistics about a 1989 Pinot Noir that we were drinking at the time. And as he's going through it, I'm like, I don't know what are bricks? Okay, I'm still learning all of this. Sure, whatever. But he finally goes, we started picking the grapes for this Pinot Noir on September 7th. And that's my birthday. Like, these grapes were picked the exact same day I was born.
That's awesome.
And it kind of clicked for me that, oh, wow, this wine is as old as I am. And it's aging, like, better than me in some respects. And I was broken at the time. I had decided to run a half marathon. It was a terrible idea.
Oh, no.
I'm like, okay, I get it now. Like, this is why people care about it. It immediately takes you back to a place. And then I started to really care more about wine. And that sent me down this whole rabbit hole of study and, drinking probably more wine than any normal person should. But that was my poor memory.
Love
That's
that.
a lovely poor memory.
We
still have
share
the bottle.
a same one. Oh, nice. Yeah, you got to save the birth year ones. My poor memories, if you go back to episode 1 for anybody, mine is the birth year one too. You can't, it's wild.
It's so cool. Yeah, just to think about like what the weather was doing and who the people are that had their hands on the grapes and the wine and all of, their stories and what they're doing. And yeah, I love thinking about all of that. It's really, really, wine is such a lovely time capsule.
Yeah.
Totally.
Well, Erin, so you've been managing editor at Wine Business Monthly since 2012. Could you tell us how that came about? tell us a little bit about who you are and what makes you tick?
Ooh, okay. Well, that's a loaded question. I'm going to be really careful here. No, I got into wine and Wine Business Monthly by sheer dumb luck. I studied journalism in school, and I was writing for an insurance trade publication, which is soul-sucking to say the least, and I cannot recommend. But for somebody right out of college, you learn that insurance companies are not your friend. So one life lesson there. But it was one of those days where I was tired of reading the exact same story. It was 2011, 12, and Obama had been trying to push through the Affordable Care Act. And so all the insurance companies said, yeah, no, we're not touching any of our policies. We're not making any changes. We're not raising rates. We're just going to kind of wait and see what happens. And so I had written the third story on lawyers' professional liability, which you would think would not be affected by the Affordable Care Act, but was. And it was the same story I had written for the last year. And I was just super fed up. And a friend that I went to school with had mentioned that she was applying for this assistant editor job at Wine Business Monthly. And I heard that and I went, ooh, that sounds like fun. I want to be an editor. There's wine. I like wine. There's red and white. Both are great. This should be a perfect fit. And so I applied, and within a week or two, I was hired and starting. And so I went in knowing literally nothing about wine. When the editor, Cyril, asked me what my favorite variety was, like, what I was drinking at the time was Barefoot Moscato out of the 1 liter. I've had a feeling you weren't really supposed to say that, so I lied and said Chenin Blanc because I had heard about it at a tasting I went to. And so, yeah, I kind of winged it, that part of it. I didn't know anything about wine, but I knew journalism. Mm-hmm. And so that's how I got my start in the wine business. And 13 years later, I'm never leaving. The wine industry is stuck with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, I feel like we've all had that moment too with wine, like kind of the intro to wine. And you're like, should I really be talking about the fact that like my first introduction to wine was Franzia, just straight up out of a box wine. And you know what? I stand by it still. It's really, it served me well, when I was in college and figuring my shit out. But yeah, when I started working for Foxen and I was in the tasting room interview, they were like, do you know anything about wine? And I was like, I know that it's yummy, and I know that there are white and red grapes, and all these things. But I was like, but I'm also really excited to learn and all these things. And they took a chance on me, and yeah, and then here I am several years later, and all the things. Sometimes you kind of just gotta fake it till you make it.
Yeah, and I wish more people would realize that you don't have to know anything about wine. You just have to know that you like it or you don't. Mm-hmm. And so, right, I mean, when I was in college, I went to Sonoma State University, and all of the dorms were named after grapes or regions. And so we drank the cheapest Zinfandel you could get. We got the sweetest Riesling there was on the market. Nobody went to Beaujolais because nobody knew what that was. Like, you just sort of stayed out of those dorms. But, if somebody had told me then that what I was drinking wasn't good enough, that probably would have put me off of wine completely. And I have now built a career in it. And Heather, I mean, if Riley or the team there had said, hey, that's not good enough, you wouldn't be who you are today. And so I just wish we would accept people where they're at in their wine journeys, whether it's Franzia or White Claw. Like, who cares what you're drinking? Let's just be welcoming.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, to go along those same lines, fuck it. If you have intellectual curiosity, if you have a desire, then you should absolutely give it a shot. And, I think we're starting to get better in our hiring practices in the wine business, recognizing those people who maybe they don't have the knowledge now, maybe they don't have the know-how right this moment, but they're willing to put in the time. Like, with Wine Business Monthly, one of the things that we do is we host the winejobs.com summit, which is a completely HR focused conference. And, over the years, I've talked to a lot of HR leaders, and they're the first to say that, we don't care if you've never worked at a winery before. If I'm hiring you for a tasting room, I want to see excitement about wine, period. I don't care what the wine is. I just want to see excitement. I want to see somebody who cares a little bit about what they're doing, right? And so if we can get them to care about wine, then that's really all I need, because they'll get the consumer to care about wine. And so I hope we're getting there. It's getting better and better from everything I'm hearing. Like, there's the ideal, and we'll probably never get to ideal because I don't think any industry ever does. Yeah. But like, we're starting to make that effort now, and it makes me really happy to see it.
Yeah. Whenever I was a part of the hiring for tasting rooms, it was like, I didn't hire for wine knowledge. I hired for somebody that can be a team player, for one, because you're in the trenches with dealing with customer service and hospitality, and you've got to be a team player. And also, can you hold a conversation with somebody? Can you make a connection with people? And that was, I'll teach you the wine stuff, no problem. I'll train that. I'll tell you everything you need to know about the brands and everything beyond that. But if you can't find a way to make a connection with people, then you're going to have a hard time in the tasting room.
Yeah, being able to have conversations about anything and be stoked about it is such a skill. And it's not something you can teach, but you can teach you can teach about wine, and the more time that you spend with wine and the more wine you drink, the more knowledge you gain. And I think just giving people the chance to do that is, and empowering them to get excited about wine too, is a really it's a really special thing to do. Okay, so we want to talk about Novel Pairings. So you recently started this new business called Novel Pairings, which I'm so insanely excited about, by the way. I just finished the first book. Can you tell us a little bit about it and why you wanted to start it?
Yeah. So Novel Pairings is an online book and wine club that is centered around community, creativity, and self-care. So I came up with the idea for Novel Pairings way back during COVID times because I was just reading a ton and I always had a glass of something next to me, whether it was a mimosa for a beach read or like a scotch for a Scottish mystery or something along those lines. Like there was always a theme. I tend to go a little extra also on stuff. Like I love a theme, if you couldn't tell by my wine choice for this. And there was this like aha moment where I got an email from Reese's book club. Reese Witherspoon runs Hello Sunshine, and it's, she picks one book a month, but she picked a wine that I knew was just excess bulk that this winery was selling, because I can see their listings on her Grape and Bulk wine board, and slapped a pretty label on it and said, buy our wine with Reese's hand design label. And I had this moment of, well, that's a really big missed opportunity, right? I know a lot of readers who sit down with a glass of wine or tea or whatever it is and want to escape. And I swear, like, I don't even know how this happened, but I just had this instant moment of, ooh, I should do that. And I should call it Novel Pairings. Like the brain was on that day or something, but it clicked. And, I've been doing a lot of work to bring this to fruition and trying to figure out what it should be and how to make this fun and engaging for everybody. And I landed on just, once a month, we have a book that is paired to a glass of wine and has a playlist so that you can immerse yourself in this book. We'll get together on Zoom, we're going to talk about it, and then throughout the rest of the month, I'm going to launch creative challenges, games, journaling prompts, do some workshops, do wine 101 type classes, short 2-3 minute videos that answer burning wine questions, and, do that all to bring women together. And I cannot tell you how much support and just engagement I've seen in the couple months that this thing has been launched, because everybody wants to talk to everybody about their books.
Mm-hmm.
And it is so exciting to see grown women who I never would have expected totally engage with a cheesy rom-com. They're in their fees, but they're engaging with a 25-year-old about it. And it's like, yes, this is exactly why I did it. It was to bring a community together, to gush about our favorite characters, have a good glass of wine while we're doing it, and then just have fun, find the joy in life again,
Mm-hmm.
So that's how Novel Pairings started.
I love that. Oh
That's
my
so
gosh.
awesome.
Yes. It's so good.
I'm so excited. I'm going to need to join too. Now I'm like jealous because you joined and now I need to join. I just
It's really good.
My life is starting to finally settle down. So I'm kind of like, okay, now I can do all the things finally. So what's your process for pairing the right music and the wine with the book? Not to like divulge your any top secret,
Well, it's not a secret. It's just,
okay.
I have spent so much time over the years meeting great winemakers, tasting wines over the years. I did the diploma through WSET, which I love and would recommend anybody who's a complete nerd to do, but it's, 2 to 3 years of study and a couple tens of thousands of dollars to make it happen. So it's just building on the experience I've had in the business, right? So as I'm reading the book, sometimes the author will mention a specific glass of wine, or there's a certain sort of vibe that goes with the book, and just using what I know, right? If it's a beachy read, I want something that's a little bit lighter, crisper, very fruit forward to kind of counteract all of the warmth from the sun. If it's a heavier topic, I'm probably going to pair it with something like a Cabernet, something sultry, soulful, that makes you think. It really kind of depends. Sometimes I pair the book to the wine or the wine to the book. right? If I know that I want to feature one of my friends' wine, like, okay, now I need to find something that fits. And with Novel Pairings, I'm really trying to get a good selection, not just of the books and the genres, but of the wines and the winemakers as well. I really want to highlight those smaller independent winemakers who don't necessarily get as much love as they should. So every pairing comes with, you know, a small independent producer, but also something similar that you can get from wine.com, because as you both know, it is hard to access wines in certain states. And so I do want to be respectful of that. We are currently in, I'm going to do some air quotes here, uncertain economic times. So I don't want to just keep throwing $75 bottles out. I want to have, here's your $75 bottle. That's great for you, but here's also a $15 one that'll, you know, pair nicely. And then same goes for the music, right? My Spotify, I'm retraining my algorithm to get out of my 2000s emo rock phase, because I'm a Fall Out Boy, Blink-182 girl till I die.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm listening to all sorts of things. I have a friend who has been incredibly supportive. Shout out to Ariel, because this woman knows everybody, every musician, every artist. And I'll tell her, hey, this is the book we're reading, and this is the vibe. And she's got like 40 songs for me to add to the list.
Oh, I love that.
And like, she is the ultimate playlist person. Whenever we have a party, we go to her. So I have to shout her out. Thank you for helping me with this. So yeah, it's really a group effort, at least on the music part. But yeah, that's kind of how I come up with it. It's really winging it at this point. I shouldn't admit that, but it is intuition.
No, we're winging this. It's totally fine. It's first season of Pour Memories. We are totally winging it.
Yeah.
Perfect.
We'll publish it later. It's fine.
Well, but yeah.
Yeah, it's so much fun. I just finished the book, so I'm an audiobook reader, and I had this long drive, like 5-hour drive down to Dana Point this weekend, and I just flew through that book. It was so good, so awesome. That book had playlists, like music was a really big part of it. Yeah. Did you pull for this, this month's book pairing, did you pull some of the songs from the suggested playlists at the very end of that book to the playlist that you created?
So I did both. I created a playlist that was while you're reading this. And then I did a bonus playlist, which is the exact playlist that they give in the book. So that if you want to do something a little bit different, or if you want to fully experience this playlist that's delivered at the end of the book, you can too. I love that more books are starting to include these playlists, because I love seeing how, like, where the author's mind is going, right? What are you listening to while you're writing this book? Because writing is intense, and music can play a big part in your inspiration. So it's just really fascinating to see them do this. I'm really hoping to get some of these authors to join our monthly book and wine club, and then talk to us about some of this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I would love that. Oh, that'd be
I
so
know.
nerdy and fun.
Jasmine Guillory right now. She is like one of the leading romance authors, and she wrote a set of books set in Napa Valley. And so I've interviewed her already once for something totally unrelated, but now I want to get her on and say, okay, what wines specifically were you drinking when you wrote this? Because you had to be drinking something.
Yeah.
Right?
God, what an awesome question. Because I bet more authors, this particular book, she even mentions at least 2 separate wines. They're drinking wine kind of throughout, but like I feel like 2 separate wines are mentioned in the book. And how did she choose those specific wines?
Right? And then they also had a wine cellar that the brother was trying to like protect and guard, and he wasn't letting any of the siblings in. And I'm like, okay, I get this, man. I understand.
Yeah. He was definitely like low-key one of my favorite characters in that book. I was like, this guy.
He's probably the most realistic in it too.
Yeah.
Without going into like what we're going to talk about in the book club, because we haven't had it yet.
Yeah.
It's coming up in a couple weeks, but like all the other characters, I'm going, you don't exist. That's not how anybody would actually react. But the brother, I'm like, I get you.
Yeah.
I understand you.
Yeah. I don't have a brother. I have a stepbrother, but we didn't like grow up together. So I never understood the like sister brother dynamic, or even just like brother dynamic and the shenanigans that they would get up to. And it felt like a nice little peek behind that type of curtain, because and my sisters and my relationship was always very, I think, tame compared to other siblings relationships. And so I sometimes I read about other sibling dynamics, and I'm like, I don't get that. Like, I don't understand that, because my relationship was so wonderful, not to brag or anything, but
I'm so jealous, because my sister and I are like, it took us being full grown 30 plus adults to get to a good place. But like these are the conversations that I wanted to start, right? That's kind of like at the root of novel pairings. Like we've read the same book, but we have had wildly different experiences.
Yeah.
And this is where my intellectual curiosity goes off, because I'm like, wait a minute, you had a good relationship with your sibling? How did that go? How does that affect how you've read this? And it's just utterly fascinating to me.
Yeah.
And everybody consumes media in a different way based off of their life experiences and all of that. So like when you get into the nitty gritty of like, oh, how did you experience this part of the book? Then you're talking about it, then you're learning from each other. It's not just about learning from the characters in the book, but you're also learning from each other and how everybody process something different, how it's all subjective, just like wine.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh. I'm so excited for novel pairings.
I can't tell you how I have gone through the agenda for our first meeting at least a dozen times, and I keep twisting and refining and thinking up new questions and how are we going to talk about this book in a way that's really soulful and engaging, but also fun, right? Because book clubs are meant to be fun. Wine clubs are meant to be fun. And so I might steal a little bit of that. Sorry to the original podcasters, but that's actually a really good question. And just apply my journalism skills and like asking questions and trying to get people to open up and talk about it, because it's, I just want people to feel comfortable talking about their experiences with this book or just in life in general. Like I'm really hoping my ultimate goal is that one of these books opens up a really deep conversation and two people who had never met each other before end up becoming best friends. Like that is my goal.
I think that'll for sure happen. I mean, especially if there's wine involved too, and just during these get-togethers to discuss everything, you get a little bit of wine involved. You get people to talk. I think it's going to be poor memories will flow, and the novel pairings will flow, and you will get so many. The magic will happen naturally. Yeah. I think it's gonna. It'll for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. One of the things I hope and I think about, and I think Chris and I, we've talked about this. I hope that poor memories can help somebody find their own poor memory and help them, so I like that that's sort of a goal for you as well with novel pairings.
Yeah.
Too many puns floating around.
I know. 2-word puns.
I know. We're in the right mix of company for sure.
Yes, we are. This is a question that I always love to ask of my friends and stuff, but what's a book that you've come back to over and over again?
Oh my God. How much time do we have? So, there's a couple, right? And so the first book that I fell in love with was The Historian by Elizabeth Kostova. And it's a modern day woman. His father goes missing and he was studying Dracula. And so it's like a modern retelling of that. There are vampires, but it's really more about the history and the sociology that has sort of surrounded this one particular character and our relationship with vampires. And it was a book that my grandfather recommended to me. And it got him and I on this mystery vampire tangent where we would just switch books with each other back and forth. And so I sort of fell in love with that. And I've recommended it to so many people. A friend of mine has it, and she's taking a really long time with it. But I want to keep sharing that book with everybody. I love The Great Gatsby, just for all of its symbolism. And I mean, I recently reread it, and there are more than a few parallels to what's happening today. So, that
I really need to reread it.
That was worth a reread. I've reread the Harry Potter books more times than I can count. I probably should stop doing that.
No, you don't need to stop doing that.
I kind of need to, because I don't have time anymore. Part of the one of the many, many reasons that I've started this is because I lost time to read. This is forcing me to read some more books now and stuff that I wouldn't normally do. I read The Wedding People recently, and I cannot recommend that enough to people. It just came out in the last year or so, but I have never read a book that explains divorce and the feelings post-divorce as accurately as that book. And it is, oh my God, it is so engrossing and pure escapism. So I would recommend the Wedding People. I want to go back and read that again.
I'm literally I'm writing down all of these books. in our document in our shared document that we have our questions. I'm books. So yeah,
to read.
Yes.
We'll list all of those in the show notes as well. So
yes.
Anyone who's listening can go and revisit these books or visit them for the first time if you've never read them. Yeah.
And some of them are on the Novel Pairings website under our popular pairings section. And then I'm adding them to, I'm going to take some away and move them to the members only section in a little bit. But for each of these books, I have a wine that you should pair with them as well.
Great.
We were literally going to ask what would you pair it with?
Yeah. Yep.
What would you pair this?
The historian, I would definitely pair with a Bulgarian or a Romanian wine, probably a Mavrud, which is really wine geeky, and haven't figured out what the replacement would be, like what you could go to an actual grocery store to find. But I would 100% pair that with a Mavrud. I don't know about Gatsby has to be champagne, right? That's like the obvious one.
Champagne or martini?
Martini.
No, I guess maybe champagne.
Or a cult Cabernet, something exclusive, something that, we aspire
Highbrow.
to. Yeah. Something along those lines. But then maybe like also a beer. Like, right, I'm not opposed to also pairing beer, spirits, teas, anything else, kind of depending on what the book says. So. Yeah, and then Harry Potter. Nice. I don't know. Can you assign a wine to a children's book?
Mead.
I mean,
fire whiskey,
butterbeer, some kind of
butterbeer. I have found a couple of breweries that do make butterbeer. I don't know if it's like you can actually take them away as canned things and have them shipped. I don't know if it's just like a thing that they just make on tap, but I have found them before.
Okay, I'm gonna need them so that I can look this up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just came up with a question. Would you do a banned book pairing series?
100%.
I was like, please do.
1,000%, yes. Like, that's not even a question. I'm just launching, so right now I'm doing my...
I'm just giving you ideas.
No, I love this. Keep them coming, but like, I'm also trying... I work a full-time job. I'm on the board for 2 organizations, and I'm starting up a business, and so like, my eyes are bigger than my workflow.
Yeah.
We know.
Yeah.
We know.
So, like, keep this coming. And Novel Pairings is very much in its infancy. So I'm doing a founding members launch. I'm discounting what the normal membership would cost because I want feedback like this. I want to hear what members want. So if you want a banned book and pairing series, I am down to do that. I will shift some things around and make it happen because this is my experiment time. This is my time to hear what works, what doesn't, what gets people excited, like banned books.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So I'm down.
Yeah. Banned books. Maybe it's called like the Prohibition series, and it's maybe a bunch of wines that are from Prohibition era wineries or wineries that lasted beyond Prohibition. Oh my gosh,
you could get wines from Happy Canyon because Happy Canyon was the area that they had the wines during Prohibition. That was the secret code name for Happy. So then you just have all the Happy Canyon. Ooh.
You guys just gave me a fantastic idea for one of the things that I'd like to do in the workshops is how to throw a Prohibition party.
Yeah.
And like bring your book club besties with you or your wine friends. And okay, so like now my mind is spiraling. I love this. This is so good. I am like off on a tangent now.
This episode just turned into a creative session.
Yes, I love it. That's the whole point of Pour Memories. It's just like getting together, drinking beverages, and just, being a brain trust. So those are the books that you kind of come back to over and over again. Is there like a specific wine that you come back to over and over again, or a winery or something that is, if you see it out in the world, you are going to buy it no matter what?
Okay, so this is so terrible. There's 2.
Yes.
One is my house wine. It is a now $6.49 because inflation. Gruner Veltliner from Trader Joe's. I love this. I walk in, they see me, they go to the back, they grab a case for me and just put it in my cart so I don't like take everything off of the shelf. It used to be $4.99 and it was, I know it's so silly that $2.
It's that green bottle, right?
Yeah, Floriana.
Yeah, I love that one too. That's one of my favorites.
What's it called?
Floriana.
Floriana. Okay.
Yeah. It's like everybody I talk to who's in the wine business, they know this wine and they know how great it is. And I'm like, wait a minute, this was my secret little wine, but okay, this is good. And then I am a sucker for wine varieties and wines that are anything but Chardonnay and Cabernet. I love unknown or underappreciated regions. Give me a Georgian wine, an Armenian wine, Bulgarian, Romanian, Slovakian, Slovenian. We had a Croatian wine yesterday.
Croatian wines are dope.
I've never had one. Like, this was really exciting for me to explore and try out, and the label was absolutely fantastic. But I
think I'm like 4 for 4 on Croatian wines.
Ooh,
like, in terms of like trying them, they're good.
Yeah, like, and just so bright and crisp. Like, there's a section in my local wine shop called the Mystery Spot, and it's all of these crazy places. And so that is like beeline. I am right there. And then I go look at the Italian and the Spanish and, all the others.
Yep.
Nice.
Those are my wines.
I love that. That's one of my favorite questions to ask when I go into a wine shop is, hey, what is something that you come back to all the time? And then also, what is something new and exciting that has you just super jazzed up? Because they're always bangers every single time. And the very first time I had a Sylvaner was one of those times. Yeah. And it was like, he like handed me like this really cool bottle. And I was like, what is this beautiful bottle that I'm going to turn into a vase later? And he's like, oh yeah, this is a Sylvaner. And he started telling me all about it. And I was like, shut up. And so now every time I see one, I'm like, I love it's like heavy breathing, you know, I'm like, oh my gosh, so yummy. I love it.
Okay, I'm just so excited that you're a wine geek too, because I've never heard anybody mention Sylvaner before. So this is like really exciting. Seriously.
Oh, it's been ages since I've had one, but it was dope.
Wines like Sylvaner and Peak Pool, I feel like they get
Pickpool.
so overshadowed by, you know, their more well-known cousins. It's really unfortunate.
Can I do like a 2-second like commercial for Chenin Blanc?
Yes.
Because
Oh,
yeah.
please.
Right?
Yes.
It is one of those grapes that just everybody overlooks, but it is everything Chardonnay wishes it could be. And I'm going to get so much shit for saying that, but you can do so much more with Chenin Blanc than you ever could with Chardonnay, and it is stunning. Like
I feel like Chenin Blanc is... Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, you were at... Okay, well, first...
Did you go to Hella Chenin?
Yeah, I'm going to need you to tell us all about that. I sadly had to miss it this weekend, but...
Same.
Yeah, I feel like Chenin Blanc is what Chardonnay promises for people.
Exactly.
And yeah. So anyways, tell us about Hella Chenin.
Yeah, so Hella Chenin was the brainchild of Peter Andrews from Culture Wine Company and Josh from Hammerling Wines down in Berkeley, and they just brought together all of these producers from South Africa and from California. There's even a guy from Armenia there who is trying to get Armenian grape varieties into the U.S., but totally unrelated to Chenin, but he did have some Chenins there, but they could only pour Chenin Blanc at this tasting. And it was fascinating. Not one wine was the same. Everything tasted different, right? You go to enough of these tastings where you've had like 30 Cabernet Sauvignons and they, let's be real, all taste exactly the same. It's the same fruit profile, same oak profile, high acid, high tannin, high alcohol. Great. But like every single producer I went to, completely different wines, even from different vineyards within that same producer. The variety and diversity is just like, there is something for everybody there. And I walked out of that like on cloud 9. I don't know how I made it home because I just kept thinking about the wines that I tasted. And so I want people to drink more Chenin Blanc. Yes. That is just my ultimate goal. Let's make Chenin happen again.
Yeah. Like my tagline with all of my clients whenever they're like, I wonder what we should plant more of. I'm like, Blanc
Chenin.
and Franc. Yeah. Like Chenin Blanc and Cabernet Franc. Like, that's what you need to plant everywhere. Just get it everywhere. They're both such wonderful varieties and they're so overshadowed by their cousins. And it's so unfortunate. And I think that people, especially with Chenin Blanc, I feel like people see Chenin Blanc and they remember the kind of weird Chenin Blanc from that their like grandma drank. And that kind of gives it a bad vibe, you know, but Chenin Blanc is so special. And it's one of those wines one of those varieties that's so, it changes based on where it's grown and who makes it. And exactly like you said, it's like every single one is going to be different, but they're all going to be wonderful. I haven't yet had a bad Chenin Blanc.
No.
I'm going to like knock on wood real quick that doesn't happen. Because I have had one and we're not going to go down this road, but it was a natural wine. And that just ruined it for me. But it grows everywhere and it grows easily and it likes heat and with a warming planet, like this is the perfect grape for it because it can handle that heat, still have acid, and then still express terroir better than any other variety I've tried. So, okay, that's my 2-minute pitch for Chenin Blanc. Sorry to derail everything.
Bless you, Erin.
I'm so jealous that I missed that.
I know.
Because Peter sources so much great stuff from South Africa with Culture Wine Co. and
we're going to be working on
next year
for Novel Pairings. So, and then we'll do a little South Africa masterclass for members. So just throwing that out there.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Noted.
Great.
Say
I
less.
love it. Everyone become a member of Not Poor Memories, Novel Pairings. But also like and subscribe.
Yeah.
But yeah. But like.
Yes, and.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Okay, like I'm going to throw the pitch in there. Like I'm subscribed to Poor Memories. It's not a lot of money, and I get so much enjoyment out of it. That's kind of what I'm doing with Novel Pairings too. Price it low, get enjoyment out of it, and then people who are too late. No, I'm kidding. That sounds terrible. People who hop on later, it'll just be a little bit more. That's fine.
Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you.
Thank you so much. Oh, I love it. Okay, so kind of already did this, but we're gonna ask it anyways because maybe your answer will change. What are your top 3 book recommendations for our listeners?
Ooh, okay. So one really geeky one for people who love wine is Vineyard Rocks and Soils. It is slightly like a textbook, but not. It's a little bit more engaging. But if you really want to understand grape growing, you need to understand the soil because it does so much. And we talk about minerality and that is still entirely up for debate within the scientific community. But the water holding capacity, the nutrient capacity, how deep the roots go, all of that, this is like the coolest book to read. I would recommend The 3 Lives of Kate Kay. I liken this one to a Pinot Noir that it can take on a couple different lives. You have your standard red, you have your rosé, your sparkling. They're all very different, but it's the same base. Kind of that same philosophy with The 3 Lives of Kate Kay. This woman sort of reinvents herself a couple times, and it's fascinating to see how she changes and why she changes and how it all kind of comes together at the end. That was another engrossing one that I couldn't stop reading. And then if you are newer into the Bookstagram, book talk kind of sphere, I would say read Beach Read or Book Lovers by Emily Henry. It's a really great introduction into the modern romance category, which is going through a huge renaissance right now. There are romance-only bookstores popping up all over the country and getting people to read again. And Emily Henry is one of those authors that has kind of captured everybody. Mm-hmm. It's not super smutty. There's a little bit. I will admit, I love slightly smutty books.
Just a touch, just a pinch.
Just a little bit. Well, then there's the Akatar series, which has a lot of it, but that's another story. But, it gets you into the genre. It's lighthearted, but still has depth. Mm-hmm. And so I would try some of her books. That whole genre has gone through a bit of a renaissance too, because I remember my mother had the Danielle Steele books, and they were what they were, and they were really popular in the 90s, and it is what it is. But now there is so much more positive sex talk. There is consent. I mean, there are still some books that touch some of these other issues, but you see men saying, even in bodice rippers that are set in the 1800s, they're asking for consent. They're saying this is going to hurt, I'm going to try to go gentle, things like that for these women's first time. And it's really exciting to see that happening because it just normalizes being a decent person. Mm-hmm. Right? As sad as that is, it normalizes it. You still get your sexy pirate or Highlander, right, who can throw you around a little bit, but you know that it's a good guy at the heart of it, right? And so the woman is asking for it, and so that's always really exciting to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I feel like it gives you positive expectations around sex as well, and standards that your partner should live up to, and that's a good thing. Period. I think this might be maybe this is a spicy topic that we could get into another time, but there's a lot of conversations about these kind of smutty romance books being compared to porn, and men saying that women who read these books have porn addictions and all this stuff. I'm curious what your thoughts are on that.
Like with anything, you can go too far with something, right? Mm-hmm. So I will start with that. That said, I know some people who have tried some things from books with their partners, and it has been really fun. And so, in the end, it's how you use it. I personally don't think it's porn and women are developing porn addictions. That has not been my experience. We're not necessarily falling in love with the sex on page. We're falling in love with the man who is delivering the sex on page, right? Mm-hmm. It's the whole character that we like. And I'm going to try to stay politically correct, so I'm going to end it there. Because I could say something that will piss off a lot of people, but I won't. But I don't think it's... I mean, even with wine, right? We're having this whole discussion about whether it's healthy or not. It's what you do with it, right? I have a glass of wine while I'm talking with my friends, or I'm reading a book, but I don't abuse it. So I could just as easily abuse that. So I think romance books are really fun. Just at the end of the day, they deliver happily ever afters in more ways than one. And really, what's wrong with that? That we fall in love with a character. We fall in love with a story. So
yeah, well
you
said.
Were far more diplomatic than that, because I would have popped off oh, see.
It's not my fault that some people cannot live up to the expectations set in these books.
Hey.
Yeah. Say it louder.
You watch people, we read it.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
You consume it in different ways. So what is your,
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Look, I don't want it in
Don't get me
libraries
started.
for high schoolers, right? That's not necessarily
Yeah.
the
Right.
audience here, but you know,
Right.
it's not that big a deal. And honestly, most of these, I read 150 something of them in 2021, and like it's not that much. There's like a scene or two, which if you think about it, there are a ton of movies that have sex scenes as well. So why are we not talking about them? Why are we not talking about video games that show big-breasted women wearing rags? Doing things
Yeah.
that are more suggestive than what I read in my romance novels.
Yeah.
I think it comes down to what you said of there's a lot of men who will never be able to meet that expectation of the characters that are being illustrated in those books, and they're threatened by it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Literal round of applause happening.
Mhm.
Maybe once Novel Pairings has kind of gone through a few seasons and everything, have you back on and talk about it. What have been your favorite conversations, and which book sparked the most debates, and what your favorite pairing was, and yeah, because that would be really fun. Once it's been lived in a little bit and we've have some more members, it would just be so fun to revisit that.
Yeah.
I just hope we get even like an inch of this, right? That is just my ultimate dream. So I am so excited to see where it goes. I just like, can it be a year from now? That would be really great.
Yes.
What if we just do an episode where it's just we do an example of novel pairings too as an episode of Poor Memories? So like
There we go.
we pre-read the book, have the pairing, and we do the whole thing.
I love that idea.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that would be so fun.
Poor Memories
love it.
X novel pairings
Yeah.
episode.
Done. That's happening.
So
We're scheduling that as soon as we get
Put
off
it on
the call. It's happening.
Put it on the
Done.
calendar.
Yeah.
So awesome. Well, God, I feel like that's such a great place to sort of pause this conversation,
Because we're going to have a part 2 apparently now.
because we are going to have a part 2. It's happening. It's been ideated. How can people find you and participate in Novel Pairings? And yeah, tell us everything.
Absolutely. So if you go to novelpairings.club, you will find everything you need to know. So it's $9.99 per month right now as part of our founding members launch. You get the book, wine, and music pairing. There is no physical book or wine shipped to you. I do want to be clear about that because I really want to be inclusive of where everybody is and how they consume books, right? So you can rent it from your library, you can buy it, you can listen to it, whatever works for you. You can buy the expensive wine, or you can buy the, more store brand wine. That's totally fine. I just want you to be able to be part of the community. And then you get access to all the workshops and the journaling prompts and all the other fun creative challenges we're doing. I just put together a quiz. What book era are you in? So I'm pulling in a little of the Taylor Swift because even though I'm not a Swiftie, I'm a tiny bit a Swiftie.
Yeah.
And I had to steal that line. I just threw that quiz up. And if you sign up for our newsletter, you automatically receive our 2025 reading bingo card. If you can complete the bingo card, you're in line to win some prizes, including free months, books and wine shipped to you, and some other things. You obviously have to be 21 plus to enter. And then for Poor Memories listeners, I'm giving away the first month free if you sign up for our monthly plan. So type in Poor Memories into the discount code box and you will have the first month free so you can try it. No questions asked.
Erin? Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Thank you so much. It's going to be so good.
You're getting the first month free, whatever that first month is. I'm really just looking forward to having really good conversations around books and celebrating with some wine.
Hey, oh my gosh. I am so excited. Thank you so much. Well, this was so amazing. So excited to have you on the show. Thank you. And good night.
Thank you for having me. I mean, this has been more fun for me than anything else I've done today or this week. So
Love
this is
it.
good.
Yay.
Yeah.
Poor Memories. It's happening. Yes, thank you, Erin. Appreciate you. Everyone, everything will be in the show notes. We'll have it all there for you. And don't forget to like and subscribe wherever you listen to this podcast.
Do it.
True love always. Bye.
Cheers.